You know, long before CGI took over and Hollywood turned magic into a green screen and computer generated commodity, movies used to actually make us believe. I mean, really believe. They made us feel like anything was possible, and not because the effects were perfect and not because the budgets were massive, but because of the stories, the filmmaking, and the performances that tapped into something primal in all of us, something that we used to feel as kids and something that we honestly still feel now, even though we're all grown up, when the right movie hits the right nerve in just the right way. So today, I want to take you on a journey to kick off this holiday season through a nostalgic and emotional countdown of the 20 movies that made us really believe in magic. And I'm not talking card tricks or special powers, but a deeper kind of magic. The type that lives inside all of our imaginations, our childhoods, and the corners of cinema where we knew anything could happen. So we are going to count down the 20 movies that actually made us believe anything was possible. The ones that shaped us and dared us to dream beyond our wildest imaginations. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. So we're going to count them all down, and we're going to talk about this along the way, starting at number 20 with 1978's Superman. Richard Donner didn't just make a superhero film with Superman, he created a promise that if you watch this movie, you will believe a man can fly. And he did it. This movie was all about hope, idealism, and it was all embodied. That kindness was all embodied with Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman. This movie made us believe in heroes again, and not the cynical ones or the anti-heroes or any of that, not making a villain sympathetic. This made us believe in genuine heroes. This wasn't just a comic book adaptation. It was a myth in the making, along with John Williams' iconic score, the sweeping tones, the earnestness. It all made the impossible feel absolutely real. Superman made millions of kids look up at the sky and think, maybe, just maybe, I can fly too. This magic wasn't built from computers, but from conviction and the foundations of what is good and real. Superman, the movie from 1978, comes in at number 20. Now, next up on the list is another one that is an absolute iconic classic of our imaginations, 1985's Back to the Future. Time travel didn't need logic. It just needed a DeLorean. This movie took the most scientific of concepts and made it feel like a wild suburban adventure that any of us could live if we just had a DeLorean and a little plutonium and an imagination. But the magic wasn't in the flux capacitor. It was the idea that our futures are not locked in, that anything is possible, that one decision, one moment, one spark of courage of doing the right thing could rewrite your own destiny. Back to the Future made science feel personal, real, touchable, and that fate was flexible and you weren't confined to any bad choice you made. You could undo it by doing the right thing, and it made that adventure feel so close that it was practically driving up in your own driveway. And to this day, that lightning strike on the clock tower still feels like cinematic electricity. Back to the Future comes in at 19. Now, next up is 2003's Big Fish. This is Tim Burton's most human film. A story literally about storytelling, about fathers and sons, and about how the myths we build and the memories we make and the stories we tell all shape the reality that we live in and the reality that we leave behind. It's whimsical, it's heartbreaking, and sweetly surreal, and it makes you believe that the truth isn't always literal. Sometimes the truth lives in the magic of our memories. Big Fish comes in at number 18. Now, next up on the list is a different type of magic that we believed in. It's 1981's Clash of the Titans. Ray Harryhausen and his stop-motion creatures looked nothing like modern-day CGI monsters, and that is why they worked. The Kraken, Medusa, Pegasus, they all felt handcrafted, personal, alive, something that was really there and tangible that your imagination could let you believe in because it existed for real. You weren't watching digital simulations. You were watching artistry in motion. This film introduced so many people to ancient Greek mythology, not as dusty stories, but as living adventures, living things that happened and existed. It was proof that imagination, when sculpted frame by frame, can be much more powerful than perfection. Now, next up on the list is 1987's The Princess Bride. Adventure, romance, sword fights, giants, and a sense of humor sharper than Inigo Montoya's sword itself. This movie actually made people believe in fairy tales again. And not the sanitized kind, and not the cynical kind that came later, but the playful, heartfelt, earnest stories that parents used to read to their kids. And in that way, it is a big slice of cinematic comfort food with the magical powers that it possessed that were nothing more than sincerity, charm, and adventure, and the idea that true love, no matter what kind, never dies. The Princess Bride had to be on this list. Now, next up on the list is 1985's Legend. This is where Ridley Scott created a dream world where you could almost smell, touch, and feel the fog-drenched forests, unicorns, Tim Curry as the devil himself, the darkness. Everything was tangible, everything super atmospheric. It's the movie that really defined fantasy and fantasy magic through visual poetry that he put together here. It's Legend. I mean, that's what it is. It's a perfect name. Tom Cruise, Ridley Scott, fairy tales, fantastical imagination being scary and beautiful at the same time. Legend comes in on our list. Now, you might notice that these aren't really ranked, though number one is number one to me for a lot of reasons, but they're not really ranked because how do you rank imagination? How do you rank things that are powerful to the way we feel, that stand the test of time? Really, this is just a list of what I consider 20 of the most perfectly suited to represent these feelings. So if you're looking for a true ranking countdown, this isn't it, because how do you rank imagination? But still, we have a list, and next up on our list is 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This is Spielberg's cinematic tribute to curiosity and infinite possibilities. The idea of what if, just maybe. It's a movie where really that wonder, that possibility and imagination itself becomes the plot. You've got lights in the skies, a melody that crosses galaxies, ordinary people drawn towards something they don't understand. Close encounters made us believe that the unknown wasn't necessarily something to fear, but something to follow, to seek out and imagine, and something that might lead us to a connection and not necessarily destruction. And for that reason, Close Encounters of the Third Kind has a solid spot on our list. And next up on this list is one that goes into a little bit more magic itself in a literal sense. It's 2001's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, I could have picked any movie from this series, but this is the first. And when this movie arrived, kids walked out of the theaters literally believing in actual magic. Letters delivered by owls, a school hidden from the world but still real and touchable in our world, a staircase that moved, ghosts with unfinished business. It all felt like a secret universe sitting right there, existing beside ours, but separate from it. This film tapped into the universal childhood wish of, what if I am secretly special too? It built a magical world, and not through an excess of CGI, but through charm, warmth, and wonder. And that's why these movies are so powerful, and that's why they last, and that's why Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is on our list. Now, next up on the list is one of my all-time favorites. I saw this movie with my dad around Christmas time when I was around 14 or 15 years old, and that's the kind of magic that stays with you even after we lose the people we love. But I am talking about 1994's The Santa Claus. Christmas movies are magical by nature, but the Santa Claus kind of hits a different emotional chord because it doesn't ask if magic exists. It assumes it does, and it assumes that you will also assume that it does. It doesn't ask you to believe in spells or anything else. It just says, here it is. You always really knew it was there. And whether or not you actually are still capable of believing in something is more of the question than whether or not it exists. The transformation sequence, the North Pole, the elves, they're all practical, tangible, and endlessly charming. This movie made millions of kids believe again that maybe, just maybe, Santa Claus, or everything he stands for at the very least, is still out there. The Santa Claus had to be on this list. Now, next up on this list is another kind of magic and another kind of imagination that is needed here. This is 1989's Field of Dreams. If you build it, he will come. Baseball, ghosts, redemption, forgiveness. This wasn't a fantasy. It was emotional magic, and it's about connections of family that are lost, that are still there to be had one way or the other. And it made us believe that. It made us believe our past wasn't gone, that nothing was impossible, that you will see those people again. It gave us really like a love story between a father and son, and fathers and sons that's universal, that echoes across generations. And sometimes that magic can even show up in a cornfield. People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come. Field of Dreams has a spot on our list.
It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Now, next up on our list is one that is still so magical to me and has been my whole life. It's 1985's The Goonies. Adventure didn't need superheroes all the time. It needed bikes, booby traps, pirate maps, your best friends at your side, and a big imagination. And the Goonies made every kid believe that treasure was real, that danger could be fun, and that courage doesn't require superpowers, just maybe a Baby Ruth every now and then, or a freezer full of ice cream. But what it really did was capture the imagination of kids and make them have their little summer adventures, things that they built up in their mind. It just so happened that in the movie The Goonies, it was all really there at the end, and it wasn't just in our imaginations, and that is movie magic. Next up on our list is Spielberg again with 1991's Hook. Spielberg directed a Peter Pan story in a cinematic, childlike way. Neverland wasn't just a dreamscape, and it sure wasn't a CGI creation. It looked like a place that you could actually visit and that you wanted to visit. I mean, every kid around my age wanted to be at that dinner table eating those big bowls of icing and whatever it was that they imagined up. And Robin Williams gave one of the warmest, sincerest performances of his career that captured both the joy of youth and the sorrow and bittersweet feelings of growing up. Hook reminded us that adulthood should never, ever mean abandoning the child within us and the childhood that made us who we are. And that is magic, because it means remembering it forever. Hook had to be on our list. Spielberg strikes again. Next on our list is one that maybe you wouldn't think of, but I'm going to tell you why. 1976's Rocky is 100% a movie that made us believe in magic. You have a down-on-his-luck fighter, a world that's forgotten him and beaten him down. He's got nowhere to go, and he's got a 1,000,000,000-to-1 shot at redemption. Rocky made us believe in ourselves. It proved that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And Stallone himself mirrored his character. No one believed in him. He wrote the script. He had no money. He fought his way to make it happen. And let's be honest, on top of that, every sports movie since Rocky owes it everything. It gave us the blueprint for all modern sports films to follow. It wasn't fantasy magic. It was human magic, the kind that hits you right in the chest. And Stallone has talked about this at length since then, about his faith and how this redemption for his character gave him the strength to believe in himself. And by doing so, it made us all believe that anything was possible. Rocky, one of the best films ever made, it had to be on this list. Now, next up, we go with Spielberg again. And let's be honest, the man just believes in magic and the power of imagination. And maybe one of the best examples, if not the best of that, is 1982's E.T., the Extra-Terrestrial. Spielberg magic about friendship that transcends planets, galaxies, space, and time. The flying bike scene didn't need CGI, it needed emotion. E.T. wasn't a monster, he wasn't a creature, he was a friend. This movie captured childhood so honestly that the magic felt real then, and it still does now. E.T., a piece of magic in our imagination and hearts for over 40 years. Next up on the list is 2005's The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So before fantasy really became a decade-long visual effects arms race and CGI, server farms, Narnia delivered something simple and powerful, childlike wonder, and the power of faith and belief. A wardrobe becomes a doorway, a snowy forest becomes a destiny, and a lion, a noble, sacrificial king, becomes a symbol of hope and faith reborn. This movie reminded us that there's something waiting just beyond the ordinary if we're brave enough to open the door and put our faith into it. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe had to be on this list. A beautiful story and a great book series. Now, next up on our list, we go Spielberg yet again, but this time he's not alone because he's with George Lucas on 1981's Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indy wasn't a superhero. He was a professor with a whip and a lot of heart and just a little bit of luck. And this movie made archaeology feel like mysticism, like something connected to something even more grand and eternal. It made us believe the world still holds secrets, ancient, powerful, and buried in deserts and jungles, all just waiting to be found. And Raiders isn't just an adventure, it's a spiritual quest. And when that ark opens and the lightning comes out and the power of God literally melts, and of course that melting scene was magic imagination in and of itself, unquestioned that Indiana Jones, one of the most iconic characters in the history of cinema, and it started here and it still lives in our imaginations today, and that's why Indiana Jones is absolutely magic. Next up on our list is 1939's The Wizard of Oz. Imagine being in a theater in 1939. Dorothy opens the door and color explodes. This movie wasn't just magical, it was literally revolutionary. A Technicolor fairy tale that's still unmatched in its ability to transport audiences in their hearts, minds, and imaginations even today. It is the blueprint for every fantasy film that followed, and a reminder that sometimes the extraordinary happens right in the middle of the ordinary. You just have to be open enough and have enough imagination to see it when it's there. The Wizard of Oz unquestionably has to be on this list. And now we are at what I would say is our top three. Again, these aren't really ranked, but this one would be high if you were ranking them. It's 1984's The Neverending Story. This movie really actually felt like unlocking a portal inside your bedroom, or as the case might be, a creepy, cool attic in a school. Everything was real. Tactile, touchable, the creatures, the landscapes, the sense of danger, the sense of imagination, of wonder, adventure. It was all there. The swamps of sadness taught us about grief. Falkor taught us about courage and adventure, and the idea that we, the viewers, were part of the story was absolutely different and incredible, pure childhood magic. This movie didn't just show a fantasy world, it let us believe that we were shaping it each second at a time. The Never-Ending Story, absolutely incredible power to it, imagination and magic. Now, what would be number 2 on our list is one of the most iconic films of all time. It's 1977's Star Wars. So before it became a franchise, before it had its problems, I promise you Star Wars was a miracle. A space opera built from models, puppets, matte paintings, and pure imagination and filmmaking magic. The Force felt real, mythic, spiritual, ancient, powerful. Lightsabers weren't just weapons, they were symbols of all of that. Star Wars didn't just entertain us, it awakened something in us, a belief, and a belief that wasn't based on special effects, but a belief in magic, imagination, and in destiny. Star Wars has so much power. That's why so many people are so passionate about it today. Absolutely, it made us believe in the power of our imaginations and magic of the world here, the world beyond us, and the world of filmmaking. And at what would be our number one is 1946's It's a Wonderful Life. And this is at the top because no movie in history has delivered more emotional magic than It's a Wonderful Life. This isn't about spells or creatures or impossible worlds. It's about the magic of a single solitary life and how important that is. The magic of kindness, the magic of impact, the magic of human connection, the magic of family and friends, and the magic of faith and belief in something higher and in ourselves. George Bailey stands on that bridge thinking the world would be better without him, and the universe shows him that he is wrong. It shows him that he matters, that you matter, that you always mattered. It is the most important magical revelation cinema has ever given us, that every single life touches countless others in ways that you'll never know and you'll never see, and that the world is better because you are here. Listen to me when I say that. The world is better because you are here. That is not only magic, that is true. That is what movies can do. And that is where we have had so much imagination and magic and power of film over the years. That's why it's so important. That's why it's movies. That's why they are magical. And that is the top 20 movies that I could think of that put all of this into sort of one list, sort of one journey into imagination and nostalgia and magic to kick off this holiday season and kind of establish what this all means going forward. These 20 movies didn't just entertain us, they shaped us. They taught us to dream. They taught us to believe, to imagine bigger than ourselves and our circumstances. They reminded us that magic isn't just in wizards or aliens or time-traveling cars. Magic is in stories. Magic is in people. And magic is in the moments that change us and make us remember them forever. That is nostalgia. That's why it's so powerful. If you have even a spark of that magic in you today, grab a hold to it and go back and remember these and let it out again. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you'd like to support what we're doing here, you can join my Patreon. The link is below. And we are all about keeping all of this alive. And not only for those of us who experienced it, but for those of us who are yet to experience it and pass all these movies and experiences and everything that they meant forward and keep the good things moving forward. And I really do appreciate you being here with me. This is the kickoff of our holiday season here on the channel. And get ready because there is a lot of magic in store. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.